This video, I'm going to provide you a review for example 4. Right. Let's start with question 1. For households in the C and C prime graph, the optimal consumption bundle is actually the answer is D. So basically what these questions ask about is in the 2-period consumption saving models. All right, so how the consumer choose optimal consumption bundle. Now usually this look like this. So you have C and C prime, right? They are budget constraint. And that's an indifferent curve. Where you consume is going to depend on not only your endowment, also the interest rate and maybe other financial frictions if there exists, right? So answer for question 1 is D, depend on other factor. Question 2, if we represent a 2-period consumer life cycle wealth and R, sorry, here is if WE, this is not a we, okay? WE wealth represent a 2-period consumer's lifetime wealth. And R denotes the real rate of interest. The horizontal intercept of a consumer's budget line is equal to, so the answer is pretty clear. The answer is A, right? It's going to be equal to WE. So what this means actually just means if consumer consume everything today and leave nothing for future. Right, so we draw the diagram. Make sure this is a budget line. But here in this budget line says you consume everything today, you consume nothing for tomorrow. And the everything or you can consume is WE, right? Lifetime wealth. Okay. And here, so this is going to be WE divided by 1 plus R. Okay, WE divided by 1 plus R. Right. Oh, sorry. So this should be W times 1 plus R. Okay. Now again, the answer here is the first one, WE, lifetime wealth. Now, question 3, to assure a well-defined solution to consumers' intertemporal choice problem, we must assume that consumer preference exhibit the property that these are the assumption usually we have regarding to consumers' behavior. More is preferred to less, and the consumer prefer diversity. So hence you have an indifferent curve. It's about toward the origin, right? Okay, so answer is B. More is preferred to less, and the consumer prefer diversity. Now, question 4. A permanent increase in tax lead to here large increase. Sorry, this is permanent decrease. Is lead to a large increase in current consumption, right? So this is because a decrease in tax. This is permanent, meaning not only today, also tomorrow. If there is a day after tomorrow, right? So that's going to lead to a big change in your lifetime wealth, because not only today you have more disposable income, you have more disposable income tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and so on and so forth, right? Hence, this is going to lead to a large increase in current consumption. So this is question 4. Now, question 5, a consumer is a lender if the answer is here, if optimal current consumption is less than current disposable income. It's pretty clear, right? It just means you consume less than your endowed. Sorry. Let me redraw this. right? So this is, say for example, this is endowment coin, right? So when you are a lender, when you consume over this region, in this region, right? So it just means you consume today, your consumption is less than what you endow. If you're here and then you borrow, right? So this is question 5, right? So question 5, again, answer is A. Now question 6. In the two-period model, R denotes the correct answer is C, the real interest rate. For the moment, there's no nominal yet, right? So this is real interest rate. Question 7, true or false? The consumer's response to change in the current and future income is motivated by consumption smoothing. That's exactly correct, right? Consumption smoothing that lies in the heart of consumers' consumption saving choice. Question 8. For a lender, an increase in the real interest rate. So the answer is going to be C, has an uncertain effect on current consumption and increase future consumption. Why is that? So this is because for lender, real interest rate increase. Okay? So this is going to have impact on lifetime wealth. Right? So what's lifetime wealth defined? So lifetime wealth is going to define as endowment, usually called Y, plus Y prime divided by 1 plus R. Right? But certainly you can subtract T, right? The tax. Okay? So let's just forget about tax for now. So it's lifetime wealth. Okay, so if R increase, and then so double E is going to decrease. Right? So this is income in effect. Right? So now, so if the income decrease, and then C presumably is going to decrease. Right? But the interest rate change, right? So that's going to lead to the relative price of the things is going to change. Right? But this is all going to affect consumer consumption, maybe move to the other direction. Right? Hence, so the effect on current consumption is uncertain. Right? But it's going to lead to an increase in future consumption. Remember, this is a lender, meaning for now, the consumer is safe. Save some money. It's saving. Okay? If they save, and then the increase in interest rate, okay, so that's going to lead to higher future income. Okay, so it leads to higher future income. Hence, the C prime is going to increase. Right. Now, let's go to question 9. The simplest device to analyze dynamic decision is, the answer is two-period, right? With two-period, we have the trade-off between current and the future, or between today and tomorrow, right? So answer is B, two-period model. Now, question 10. A temporary increase in income today leads to a small increase in current consumption. This actually reflects the idea of consumption smoothing. Right? So if the income is just temporary, it means just one time. And then so you may want to save a little bit for future, because you also want future consumption to benefit from this increase in income. Right? So you smooth your consumption. All right, so the answer is A, a small increase in current consumption. Now, question 11, true or false? Pay-as-you-go Social Security is a forced saving program. The answer is no. It's not a forced saving program. So in the class, we may say, okay, this looks like forced, but in technical, this is not a forced, right? So you just pay tax, right? And then so we use the tax proceed to pay for the benefit of the current oath. It's not forced saving, right? Now, question 12. Collateral is used in all of the following credit arrangement except, so this is regarding to financial friction. All right. So the correct answer is credit card lending, right? So the credit card, when you borrow from your, when you borrow, use your credit card, there's nothing used as a collateral. All right. Let's look at other examples. Mortgage. So when you borrow to pay for your house, the purchase of a house, right? So you use your house as collateral, right? So before you pay off, okay? So the bank hold your house as a collateral. Okay? Automobile loan, similar, right? So repurchase agreement, what is that? So usually this happens between commercial banks. So for example, the Bank of America trying to borrow some money from First National Bank of Omaha, right? So they usually go through this repurchase agreement. But what is used as collateral? Usually, so the borrower is going to use their bond holding, like a treasury bill, as a collateral. Okay, just in case they cannot pay their debt or their loan. And then so the treasury bill, the bond that used as collateral, will transfer to the lender. Okay. Question 13. Consumer choice theory predicts that with identical consumer pay-as-you-go Social Security. So the answer is maybe Pareto improving. Right, so that's the whole point of pay-as-you-go system. So the reason why it can be Pareto improving is going to depend on the interest rate and the population growth rate. If the population growth rate is larger compared with interest rate, then that's going to generate more return. So whoever joined the Social Security later, certainly the first or the initial generation who participate the Social Security, they automatically get a welfare improvement, right? Why? Because they did not pay, but then they suddenly they get a benefit from this pay-as-you-go Social Security system. Question 14, true or false? With credit market imperfection, recording equivalence hold? Actually, no. Okay. So with credit market imperfection, the recording equivalence will fail. What is recording equivalence? It just essentially says the timing of tax doesn't matter, right? But with credit market imperfection, so if the government reduce tax today, that's equivalently the government lend households at a lower price, lower interest rate, okay? So that is going to have a real impact on consumers' current consumption. That's going to lead to the fail of recording equivalence. Okay. Question 15, true or false? With credit market imperfection, the interest rate at which a consumer can borrow is lower than the interest rate at which he or she can lend. So this is not correct, right? Actually, this is depending on who you are. Okay, it's going to depend on who you are. The interest rate you can borrow, so it's really depending on, it's who you are. Okay. So now question 16. the commitment problem that may make a forced saving social security system beneficial is basically described as, so the last one, under saving by households, because the government can commit to provide zero retirement assistance. So what this means, it just means, so the households, okay, so they may not able to save enough for themselves, right? And furthermore, the government cannot commit to provide the zero retirement assistance, meaning, so the government, they may not able to just sit and let you to starve when you get retired, right? So in the first place, so households may not have the resolution to save enough for their retirement. Once they reach to retirement, right, they have no saving, no income, right? But the government, due to the political pressure, usually they may not, or they don't want to just take a hands-off approach, just let you starve, right? So this is not going to happen. Okay. So this is a common problem. Now on the first part, households cannot save enough. And second part, the government may not commit to the best option, which is just not provide you with anything so that you can learn lessons, or the future generation can learn lessons, right? In that sense, the forced saving social security program is going to be beneficial. Right? So just force you to save, and then to avoid the government to kind of bail you out. But it's to bail out is costly. Right? Now, question 17. Pay-as-you-go social security system works in situation. Well, so the answer is B, right? When population growth exceed the interest rate, right? So that the pay-as-you-go system actually give you a higher rate of return. Now, question 18, a default premium is interest rate premium. Answer is C, covering the default risk. What is default risk? Just imagine, I borrow like $1,000 from a bank, right? With some probability, I may not able to, or may not win to pay off my debt. Right? So this is default. And then the default premium is the interest rate premium, just on top of the risk-free interest rate. So this additional interest rate is going to use to cover the risk, or to cover the probability that I or other borrowers may not want to pay off your debt, so that to make sure the bank or the lender breaks even. So the answer is covering the default risk. Question 19, in the frictionless world. So the answer is B, fully funded Social Security is a constraint on private saving behavior, and therefore can make everyone better off. Okay. What is fully funded? So fully funded just says, so the households, okay, so households, you save some, all right, and then so when you retire, and then the government is going to give you the amount you save plus the interest. But in the frictionless world, meaning, so there is no financial friction, no commitment issue, right? And then, so these things is not optimal, right? So essentially, it's going to distort your choice because you are asked by the government to save, right? But when full funded social security system help us, that's when there's friction in our financial market. The friction includes the households may not is able to save enough, like commitment problem, right? Or the households may not able to borrow at the same rate as saving rate, or the saving rate of borrowing rate is different due to some other financial friction. Okay? If there's no such friction, and then any constraint on private saving behavior is going to be a distortion. It's going to potentially reduce the welfare or the well-being. Question 20. If consumer borrow at higher interest rate than the interest rate she received for lending. Okay. So the answer is A, a tax cut from the government is like a loan. Okay. So essentially, this is equivalent to say the government lend the households at a lower rate. Remember, households must borrow at a higher rate. Now, the government give you a tax cut, meaning so you need to borrow less, right? Because suddenly you have more disposable income. You borrow less, so that just means the government extends your loan. So actually, this is the reason why Ricardian equivalence may fail when there's a friction in the market. Okay, so answer is A. Oh, by the way, if the consumer can borrow at the same rate as she received for lending, and then the tax cut has no effect, right? Now, question 21, true or false? In the real intertemporal model, if current TFP falls, then the real wage falls. That's sure. That's for sure, right? So how we calculate the real wage? Real wage equal to the marginal productivity of labor. And a part of the marginal productivity of labor comes from or determined by total factor productivity. Okay. Question 22. In the real intertemporal model with investment, there's an intertemporal substitution with respect to, okay? So this is with respect to consumption and leisure. All right, there's another substitution that's between consumption and saving or investment. Right. Question 23. In the real intertemporal model, if future TFP increases, this captures the effect of, the answer is D, is a news shock, right? So this is about the future, right? How you see the future, how you perceive the future. And the change in future TFP is going to have impact on investment. And certainly that's going to affect your decision in consumption and maybe labor supply and labor demand, as we discussed in class, right? So now question 24, a temporary increase in government spending that leads to only small decline in lifetime wealth likely shift the output demand curve to right by more than the rightward shift in output supply, right? Because this is a temporary increase in government spending. Okay. All right, so question 25, at the end of the future period, in the real intertemporal model with investment, the current answer is C. The firm can convert capital 1-to-1 into consumption goods. Okay. So basically it just says, so investment or whatever is left as physical capital, so you can sell on the market and get consumption goods. Nothing's going to waste it. Right. Question 26. In the real intertemporal model, if government spending increase, then in equilibrium, output increase 1-for-1 with the increase in government spending. That's not correct. Okay. Where the government spending coming from or how they're going to finance spending must through tax. Tax usually is distortion, right? So the tax distort your labor incentive or investment decision. Hence, output is going to increase less than 1 by 1. Okay. 27. True or false? In the real intertemporal model, the representative firm increases investment if the real interest rate falls. That's correct. Right? So because that just make the investment cheaper. Right? Question 28. When draw against the real interest rate, the optimal investment schedule shifts to the right if the current capital stock decrease. Right? So the investment schedule essentially just tells you how much you're going to invest for given interest rate, right? See, if the current capital stock decrease, and then the marginal productivity of capital will increase. Hence, current capital stock, hence the investment is going to increase, shift to the right. Okay. 28. In the real intertemporal model, an adverse sector shall act to, the answer is D, reduce real output and increase the real interest rate. Right? So why it is going to reduce real output? Because you have what? You have lower productivity, right? And why the real interest rate increase? Because capital is going to decline. And the marginal productivity of capital is going to increase. Right? So hence you're going to increase real interest. So you're going to increase the real interest rate. Okay? So finally, the last one, the marginal benefit from investment for a firm is equal to, the correct answer is C. It's here. Right? So how we understand that? You invest 1 unit, and then this 1 unit becomes capital in the future. So this 1 unit capital in the future is going to give you marginal productivity capital. So this is the first term. But then you have 1 minus D. 1 is refers to the 1 unit capital you have. Minus D just means the depreciation. So 1 minus D just means, so at the end of the next period, you can sell this additional unit of physical capital to the market. So that's the benefit you're going to have. And then you divide it by 1 plus R. So that just discount to today, right? Because everything we discussed on the numerator is regarding to future. Now you must discount into today's term. So that's where you get the total marginal benefit from investment. Right. So that's the review for the example.